All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today we're looking at, well, it's a familiar term, I think, for a lot of folks, backslidden Christianity.
Yeah.
But, I think at its core, it's really about just like that drift we can sometimes feel in our faith, you
Mm,
know? You start out strong, and then things, life happens.
exactly.
And yeah, we're going to be exploring a piece called Fighting Backslidden Christianity, looking for hopefully, some practical strategies
Okay.
to reconnect and re-energize our spiritual lives.
Yeah, this is definitely something that I think a lot of people dealing with, and it
Mm,
can be hard to know where to start, to get back on track.
for sure.
And one thing I thought was really interesting about this piece that we're diving into today is that, you know, you
Mhm.
know, it doesn't just offer like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It actually lays out 10 interconnected strategies
Right?
because it recognizes that spiritual renewal
Okay.
happens on both, a personal level,
Uh-huh.
but then also kind of like a communal level as well.
10 strategies. Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
It
So
is.
let's break it down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Starting with number 1,
Okay.
and this one focuses on personal devotion, so like prayer and Bible study,
Mm.
which I think we've all kind of, inherently know that those
Are.
are important.
Yeah, they're the basics.
But I'm curious to see, like, how this source goes beyond just the basics.
Yeah, it's not just about checking those things off a list.
Oh,
It really emphasizes this, like consistency and intentionality
okay.
in our personal devotion. It's really about like cultivating a deep, ongoing conversation with God through prayer
Yeah,
and really letting the words of the Bible shape our hearts and our minds.
gotcha.
It's really about like building that strong foundation.
So like a relationship that needs that nurturing.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of relationships, strategy number 2
Okay.
is discipleship and accountability.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to get your thoughts on how churches can really,
Yeah.
foster this kind of environment
Absolutely. Yeah.
where people feel supported.
Yeah. I think this is super crucial.
Mhm.
Churches can, provide that framework for growth and support.
Sure.
But I think the key, and this is where it gets tricky, is finding that balance
Right.
between genuine care
Mm-hmm.
and not making people feel judged.
Oh, for sure.
It's less about pointing fingers and more about walking alongside each other,
Right.
offering encouragement, asking tough questions, but doing it in a loving way.
I like that. That resonates with me, walking alongside each other.
Yeah.
And I feel like that actually leads really well into strategy number 3,
Okay.
which is bold preaching,
Okay.
speaking truth, even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
How can we do that effectively
That's a good question.
without, pushing people away?
It really is a tightrope walk.
Right.
The source really emphasizes the importance of balancing truth
Mm-hmm.
with grace.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about calling out sin and compromise. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
But always through the lens of love.
Okay.
And with that goal of restoration, not condemnation.
It's about like pointing the way forward,
Exactly.
and not just focusing on like the wrongs.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then we have number 4, which is fellowship.
Okay.
So just being a part of a community,
Yeah.
I feel like in our, increasingly isolated world,
Oh, my goodness.
this is more vital than ever.
Couldn't agree more.
What do you think?
We are wired for connection.
Right.
And isolation can be so damages. I mean, just on so many different levels.
Sure.
This source highlights the importance of authentic relationships
Okay.
within the church.
Yeah.
It's where we can support each other, encourage each other,
Mhm.
celebrate victories, help each other through tough times, all of that.
It's about like sharing the journey,
Ex-
the highs and lows.
That's it.
Okay. So now the source also talks about evangelism,
Mm-hmm.
sharing our faith with others. Now, I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
what its role is in combating backsliding.
That's interesting, because sometimes we think of evangelism as just
Right.
bringing new people on.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's so much more than that.
Okay.
When you share your faith
Mhm.
and you're living it out authentically,
Okay.
it can really rekindle your own passion and your sense of purpose.
Wow.
It's this powerful reminder of what you believe and why it actually matters.
Keeping that flame alive, so to speak.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, this next strategy, resisting worldly influences,
Okay?
feels kind of broad to me. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's a big one.
So what does that look like practically?
So it's about discernment,
Okay,
critically evaluating all the messages that we are bombarded with
sure.
on a daily basis.
Constantly.
Yeah, like the pressure to consume,
Yeah,
Like the unrealistic beauty standards we see on social media,
right.
like if we're not careful, these things can really subtly erode our values.
Totally.
And it's not about shutting ourselves off from the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's about engaging thoughtfully
Okay.
and making those conscious choices
Yeah.
that align with our
It's
faith.
like filtering out the noise and staying
Absolutely.
grounded in what matters.
Exactly.
Okay? And that ties in really nicely with genuine worship.
Yes.
Not just going through the motions,
Yeah.
but really connecting with God
You got it. Yeah.
in a real way.
This source emphasizes intentionality
Mm-hmm.
in our worship,
Mm-hmm.
putting aside distractions and
Mm-hmm.
focusing our hearts and minds on God.
Mm.
It's about experiencing the awe, the gratitude, the
Mm.
surrender that true worship brings.
It's about nurturing that inner connection.
That's it.
Okay, speaking of nurturing,
Okay?
the source highlights the importance of strengthening families.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this so crucial in fighting backsliding?
You know, the family unit is just such a powerful force
Right.
in shaping our faith, especially for children.
Right.
You know, creating a loving, supportive environment where faith is talked about
Uh-huh.
openly and lived out
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it's about equipping families to navigate the challenges of the world today,
Right.
to stand firm in their beliefs, even when it's hard,
Yeah.
especially amidst all that cultural pressure.
Yeah, building a strong foundation for the next generation.
Absolutely.
And that leads us into the next strategy, mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
the power of guiding, but also being guided.
Yes, yes.
So what role does mentorship play in all of this?
Well, mentorship just provides such invaluable support and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be a formal program or just someone a little further along
Right.
in their faith journey who offers that guidance, encouragement,
Sure.
accountability, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And you know what? Being a mentor can be just as enriching.
Okay, interesting.
You know, when you're sharing your experience
Yeah.
and helping someone else grow,
Uh-huh.
it can reignite your own passion.
So it's reciprocal.
It is. Both sides benefit.
Okay, and finally, we come to reliance on the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
How does the source frame this as a strategy to combat backsliding?
It's about recognizing that our own efforts, while important,
Sure.
they're not enough.
Right.
You know, we need the power of the Holy Spirit working in us
Okay.
to bring about that lasting change.
Mhm.
It's about surrendering to God's will, allowing Him to transform our hearts, our minds,
Mm,
and empower us to really live out our faith authentically.
I love that.
Yeah.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive here,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear, like, of these 10 strategies,
Mm-hmm.
which one speaks to you the most right now?
Yeah. Which one resonates with you?
And then maybe what is one small step
Yeah,
you can take this week to put it into action?
absolutely.
I think that's a great question to ponder.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll be back soon to explore another fascinating topic.
Wait.
Until then, keep diving.